Right, we have Ferdinand Doduroha, Arise chief correspondent, is live in Sokoto. Let's find out what he has been able to gather. Ferdinand, good to have you join us. Yes, it is nightfall like it is here in Abuja, there in Sokoto. What can you tell us about where this strike actually happened and what impact it seems to have had and how the people have reacted to the strikes?
All right, thank you so much, Ngozi. Well, we got in here, some hours ago, and of course, immediately we rushed to some of the sites. We're talking about the attacks. It did take place in two local governments in Sokoto State. We're talking about Tambowal and then Tangaza. Well, that which took place in Tambowal happened in Jabo, which we quickly rushed there, and of course, we saw for ourselves. Well, the good thing is that there was no casualty as regards the striker in Tambowa. Well, let's rewind and then let's indeed talk about those places. Now, from what we have gathered, well, the strikes were actually targeted at hideouts and trans routes. Now, for hideouts, well, they say, well, Tambowa, somewhere that, according to intelligence, they say is somewhat a hideout for some of these elements, and often, although there aren't attacks very often, but then you have talked about the level of intelligence that has gone into this. Well, earlier in the day, well, the Nigerian government did confirm, and of course the defense headquarters did confirm that it did work with the United States on this. And so you want to talk about targets being acquired and of course locked in and before the strikes were made. And for that which concerns Tangaza, well, yes, they say it is a known route. It is a known trans route from Nigeria to Niger. And so it is a place where severally they've seen attacks, and of course severally residents have confirmed to seeing gunmen use those routes. And so that's exactly the reason why those two routes were chosen. And we know definitely, like President Trump said, that this is just the beginning. And he says, well, if it doesn't stop, they will continue. And for now, well, let's wait to see what has happened in Tangaza. Well, for Tangaza, well, we've not been able to get in there, and indeed, it's indeed quite farther from where we are. And, we've not really heard much in terms of casualties, but we can confirm that there were casualties in Tangaza. But for that which happened in Tambowa, well, it was just a strike at a place where, which was actually a farm from what we saw and what we can confirm.
Ferdinand, let me stay with you on the issue of casualties in the Jibo area, if I'm correct, in the Tambuwal area. Do we have an idea of the number of casualties, and are these collateral damage or people directly involved in terrorist activities in the area?
Well, thank you, Ngozi. Let's rewind again. I said for that which happened in Tambowa, there were no casualties. Well, it did strike, a farm. And so, quite early in the day, well, we saw some visuals. Of some of the residents hurrying to the scene, and of course, they were able to get out some of the debris. And by the time we got there, we couldn't find the debris anymore. But from what we saw, it was just a dredge that had been created. And so, I can confirm to you there were no casualties in Tambawa. However, for Tangaza, which they say is a known trans route from Nigeria to Niger border, well, we hear that there were casualties. However, we haven't been there, and from our sources, we've not been able to put the numbers together. And so, hopefully, we expect that by the time we get in there real time, we'll be able to see exactly what has happened, and hopefully, speak with some of the residents there to give us, their eyewitness accounts.
And before I let you go, have you been able to speak with security operatives? What are they saying in terms of the impact and even the level of collaboration in this U.S. strike?
Oh, yes, I have. Well, first of all, communicated with some persons from the defense headquarters. And then beyond that, well, even when we came in, well, communicated with some persons who indeed have spoken off record. And that's because they didn't get the, they don't have the full clearance to indeed speak. But from what we gathered, yes, a whole lot went into it in terms of intelligence. The Nigerian authorities working with the United States authorities to ensure that they take a look at some of they take a look at some of the scenarios. Now, if you look back, you will see, like I've said, that these places, these targets were indeed locked in and, of course, struck. And so, for some reasons, we do not indeed know the exact reasons why these targets were picked, other than a hideout and then a trans route. However, you and I know that in terms of ungoverned spaces, there are several ungoverned spaces. In terms of red areas, there are several red areas in the countries. But why specifically, both institutions did select these places are what we have not been able to confirm. And obviously, well, we have to have a higher security clearance to get that information. But it is a very strong warning, whether there are casualties or not, that of course we see you, of course we have the ability to plan, and of course we have the missiles that can indeed carry out havoc.
Ferdinand Roha, Chief Correspondent for us there in Sokoto State, thank you very much for your coverage. And of course, we're going to be relying on you largely to give us information or as things unfold there in Sokoto State, where the U.S., in conjunction, in collaboration with the Nigerian authorities, struck there in the Tambuwal area of Sokoto State.